What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is coverkillernation. I don't expect you to bow, genuflect, or use some sort of gesturation in order to honor me, in order to praise me, in order to show your loyalty to me. Instead, I'm here to speak to you about this day's album review. This review in which I'm going to speak was one that was recently released, one that came out on Tuesday this past, one that maybe, well, most of you would have passed right up. Either that or would just plain and simply use the CD to wipe your ass. The one in which I'm going to be speaking and accounting for is the one, the only, Lil Wayne's The Carter 4. Now this is an album of rap and rhyme, one that we've heard countless times. This is an artist that has sold records many and many. But instead, is he really worth your pretty penny? This is an album of typical sounding Lil Wayne beats, something that may cause you to nod your head or perhaps tap your feet, unless of course you are a member of the metal game, where instead such an album may just drive you insane. This is something your little brother, your sister, that wigger cousin that you have may find to be the shit. Something that it will drag you into their room or to their car or someplace where they are in order for you to listen. And well, just want to shoot yourself or drive somewhere else, equally very far. This is an album of many tracks, whether that be regular or deluxe edition. This is an album where Lil Wayne's trying to show that there is no competition to the skills in which he possesses in rhyming and rapping. However, instead it just seems that your head you will be scratching. This is an affair that seems varied, it seems mixed, but instead it's just one that's a real painstaking shot to the head. It's an album in which you may find to be just not exactly all that it really is cracked up to be. It's strangely inconsistent, it's patterned, and it's not very focused. But then again, Lil Wayne's so high he's got the attention span of a locust. Or maybe like a fly flying into the light above. Or maybe that's a moth. I really don't know. And I don't have a rhyme, so to the next line I will go. There are some good tracks on this now, don't let me persuade you otherwise. Instead, this is just one where, a word to the wise, you may want to pick and choose the poisons in which you ingest. I think that's just the pattern of course that you would like best. Most of you would rather just skip this and say goodbye, but I will say this before you whisk it goodbye. I will say some of these tracks you may want to give a try. She Will is a song that may seem really typical, something that sounds like all things that are plithy, and I guess the reciprocal is the fact that the darkened beat behind it actually adds and enhances to the environment that it prances. And it actually seems like it's trying to romance the idea that Lil Wayne is a cut above the best, but instead it does sort of just sound like you're just being put to the test, because at times this album just sounds like the rest. Now, if you really want something that will damage your brain, listen to the song How to Hate, which is a duet with T-Pain. This is a song that is a really just ridiculous tune, mainly because it uses the one, the only, auto-tune. And this is not your typical rambunctious, typical retarded thing. Instead, he amps up the auto-tune somehow, almost as though giving it bling-bling. It really just leaves an intelligent music fan wanting more, but believe me, Wayne and Company have a whole lot more left in store. There's an acoustic moment, How to Love, almost a counter to How to Hate. And whenever you think about it, the concept really sounds like it could be kind of great. And really, a lot of people say that this song is actually great. But instead, acoustic guitar in hand, you might be catching on to Wayne's stride. Being a multiple musician is Lil Wayne's pride. However, whenever you consider it in this reviewer's eye, this is something that's just laughable, if not a little trite. This is something almost like keeping the training wheels onto your bike. He says his influences were Nirvana, and they certainly didn't show. There is no smell of Teen Spirit, no lithium, no blow, no heroin. He's not a hero, nor is he a legend. However, it definitely beats Busta Rhymes' last session. I guess that all depends on the opinion that you may have. But this guy makes Gucci Mane seem like, well, somebody's dad. For all the people that hate Wayne, there's one thing that I will say, and that's the fact that he is better than Waka Flocka any fucking day. However, to say that this album is something so great is almost like doing an 8-ball and then wondering why you're not late. It's simply an exercise in predetermined torture, and I don't have a rhyme with torture, so just fuck you. This is an album that if I had to score it, I wouldn't do it on the same reason why I wouldn't score a bad album in my ears and my eye. Simply because this is an opinion-based release, one that you'll either like or dislike, depending on your tastes, morning, noon, or dark of night. All that I say is that while my rhymes may seem off-key, off-kilter, more poetic, and perhaps not quite as brutal, I'm still rhyming faster than Lil Wayne ever will. So all I have to say, Cover Killer Nation, speaking and good night. If you give this one a try, well, we may have a fight, we may disagree, we may not see completely face to face, but give the man a break. This album's not a disgrace. Sure, it's not exactly something that should be selling millions of copies, but let's face it, society is what it is. Honkies. Alright, I'm done with all this. It's time for me to move on to something more metal for this month. It's so strong. September. The month in which Cover Killer Nation fans will agree it's going to be a hell of a thrill ride for both you and for me.